on the evolution and who's
Hello,
on the creation
Travis?
side?
Yeah. Okay. So you have Clint and Dylan on the evolution side, and on the creation side you have James and Travis. Charles will be our audience member today, I guess.
Can I just be the devil's advocate? Like if I see something that I want to point out in somebody's argument, you know?
Dylan.
I don't know. I don't care as long as it's okay with everybody else.
Everybody, I've got a question. Charles would like to know if he could be the devil's advocate in this discussion and just kind of point things out.
I mean, I'm fine with that. Devil's advocate is fine with me.
Okay. So Charles, you can do that.
It's meme for today.
You've already put the meme in there. Meme of the day in there.
Yep.
It's brought to you by iFunny. So I guess just start things off. Let everybody talk, and when they're finished talking, you can.
I tell you what. How to do this. This isn't the actual debate, but I think it would be nice for one side to go before the other. So, I tell you what, CJ, why don't you pick a number between 1 and 10, and Travis, you can be the one to pick for your guys' side, and I'll let Clint pick for our side. And whoever gets the correct number or closest to it, you know how it works. That side will go first.
Ready?
Sort of like a Super Bowl thing. All right.
All right, I've got my number.
All right.
Wait,
what numbers is it between?
1 and 10.
6.
Okay. Clint, what number? 8. All right. The number was 7, and you all were both right next to it. So let's pick again, I guess.
Oh, by the way, Clint, fix your microphone.
Damn it.
There you go.
I've got my number now.
Better?
Yep, that's good.
All right, I've got my number. You all can pick again.
All right. 4.
Okay, Clint?
Do 2.
Number was 1, so Clint, you and Dylan will be going first.
Okay, so...
Your opening statement.
Yeah, this is not debate. This is informal. It's just a general discussion. So, this is like part 1. So, basically what we're going to do is, each side has basically a topic. Each individual has or each side, whichever one you want to do. You guys can like team up on the topic or have your own individual topic to talk about. And then each side has a question for one side, and then CJ, being the moderator, is gonna. Oh God, sounds like someone dropped something. Anyways, CJ is gonna read questions off of iFunny that the people left on my latest post. So, anyways, so Clint, go ahead and talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, hey guys, my name's Clint. I'm 20 years old. I live in Texas, and I attend Texas State University, pursuing a physics major with an applied mathematics minor. Since this is not the debate, I won't bring up any of my topics I would like to raise for a debate. So what I'm more focused on is to understand what your guys' position is a little bit better, and then we can deal deeper into topics that have been raised on iFunny. That's all I would like to say.
Well, wait. Like, don't you like? What was you gonna? What was you gonna ask them about?
Oh, I was gonna save it. I was gonna save it for the debate, for like the debate topic.
Oh,
I guess what I would like to know from y'all guys. I guess what I'd like to know from y'all guys is your position a little bit better.
Speaking of the mind.
All right. Wait, you want to go or what do you want?
Well, that's then yeah. It's your turn for your statement.
All right. I'm Travis. I'm from Kentucky. I'm 16. I'm planning on going to college for to study philosophy and theology. What else? We believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and that He died on the cross and rose again 3 days later. We hope to get a little bit more of a thought, an idea of what you guys believe, because I know atheists have a lot of mixed views. So this discussion will narrow that out.
All right. So time for some questions, and these will be directed towards the This will be directed towards your team, Travis. This is a question from Justice5_0 on iFunny. He said, "Why should or should not the church pay taxes in the locations they reside?"
I'm actually not really good on this one. Do you got James?
Is he present?
James.
Boy.
Boy.
Boy. Well, this is not going as planned.
No, it's not.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm
Joke debate or joke discussion. I'm glad this is informal. Hope we
Yeah.
don't- Hey, is he there?
Hey, James, you there, boy?
King's Kid.
Okay.
King's Kid 777777777.
Okay, I'll ask another question just to
Is there any questions on there like regarding us, or are they all directed towards Travis and his friend?
No, there's one directed towards you, Dylan.
Okay.
I'll
Shoot.
ask this for Dylan. What started the Big Bang, and if nothing did, then how did it occur?
Okay. So this is like a question that everybody. Wait. Is this a message from your friend?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and finish, or do you want to wait and see if he can? Okay. Alrighty then. Alright. Hold on. Alright, let me see. I'm not too familiar. Alright. Anyways. Basically, this is one thing we don't know. This science does not claim to know everything. Obviously, a lot of people out there like to say they think they know everything, but it's far from it, actually. That's the one thing good about science, actually. We constantly are learning new things. We constantly change the way we think. We constantly are, like, just moving forward. And, anyways, as for that question, we don't know how it began. It's the one thing. It's like they asked that question to Bill Nye back in 2014, and I'm gonna give basically the similar responses he did. And for example, okay, there in Kentucky, for example, we need our future students to be scientifically literate, okay? So, we don't know, like, for example, he was saying basically, wouldn't it be great if a student from Kentucky actually gone out there and figured these things out? I can't remember, Clint, do you know what he said? Like, there's no place in Kentucky that you can go and get, astrophysics degree? I don't know. Is that what he said? Did anybody watch that?
I did watch the debate, but it was a long
He said something. He said, like, there's no place in Kentucky that you can go and get a degree in that field. Anyways, though, but okay. So according to what studies show, and hold on, someone's calling me. According to what studies show here, and what astrophysicists it says, prior to the moment that there was nothing, during and after the moment there was something. Our universe, the Big Bang Theory, is an effort to explain what happened during and after the moment, according to the standard theory of our universe's sprang into existence as a singularity around 13.7 billion years ago. They don't know how, they don't know when it happened, but that's just one thing. Here's where I have the problem with. Just because we don't know all the answers yet, doesn't mean that, like, say, for example, it wasn't natural, is my point. And, but as for like how they can tell you how they theorize it happened, but they don't know for sure, and that's just one thing science has yet to figure out. But that's the good thing about science, because we keep moving on and we're always learning new things. But anyways, I'm sorry if I didn't give a good response, but go ahead. Next question.
Next question. Okay, so I'm gonna direct this. This question is for Travis.
Yep.
And if it's impossible to both prove and disprove God, why do people bother arguing? Not really sure if you should even bother answering this one, LeMayo. But is it possible to both prove and disprove God?
Well, about the first part of his question, about if God can be disproved. Wait, can you read that first part?
If it's impossible to both prove and disprove God, why bother arguing? Sorry, I read that wrong the first time through.
Oh, that's fine. Well, for the first part, why isn't anything debated like climate change? I mean, everyone has their own viewpoint on if it's real or if it's not real. But the same thing could be used. Why debate it? But I know that's crappy, but
that's fine.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's kind of a question. But the last part, I don't really think it's like you can't really fully prove God. There's reasonable faith to believe that He is real. We can't fully prove God. Almost all the evidence points to there being a creator, but you can't really, like I said, you can't really fully prove Him. Like you can't see God, you can't touch God, you can't feel God. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, Dylan. Question for you. Can you explain gravity and non-physical laws of nature as an evolutionist? How do you explain those things exist? And that was a question from Orion_Sunrider. Dylan. Clint?
I can answer it.
Okay.
Having a little bit more of a probably says non-physical laws. All laws are physical. In physics, there's nothing non-physical about them. To explain them, those laws. Okay, those laws are empirically derived from experimentation and observation. So that's how we got them. But I'm guessing his question is more targeted. How does this universe have the known laws that we know now? And that's actually a good question, because we don't fully understand why the universe has the laws that it has now. There's actually some recent studies of there's been a field of science that studies this such case, and the way to study it is using the multiverse theory and seeing what kind of laws the universe will have for a given universe here and there. That's as much as that's as much as I can answer about it. Because I'm not fully versed on the subject of multiverse, but the laws we have, such as gravity, I can probably go on for gravity, but gravity is just the warpation of space-time due to objects that have a mass. That's the explanation of gravity. Why do objects warp space and mass? That's a good question. We don't really know, but that's what we see through experiments. The biggest one I really like to do, the biggest evidence I like to point towards that is during a solar eclipse, the stars behind the sun the images are warped because the light bends around the sun's gravitational wave. That's how they proved space gravitational lensing when Einstein brought it up.
Okay.
I want to make a quick response. I don't know what happened. I had to go take care of something. after he was, I left when Travis was talking. What did he say? He was talking about, like, he's seen there's, like, I don't know. You know what? I'll just save it for the debate, because that's more of a, like, when you have, like, a response like that, it's more of, like, a response for a debate.
Okay. And then, I think another question for this is a question for Travis. This is from a SciDev on iFunny. He said, would society and history be better off without religion ever having been invented? Please also take into account art, sciences, culture, etc.
I think society is actually really greatly been benefited by Christianity, especially. And I think David Hume, Descartes, Kant, all of them, they would all agree that religion has helped society as a whole. I mean, looking back to the Dark Ages, the Catholic Church helped with the culture, the arts. They help provide knowledge, all those different things. The church has it's been a great influence on people. The church, before its corruption, they allowed knowledge, free thinking, and ideas to prosper, except for things that contradicted God, sadly, but they allowed more thought than what was allowed back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only thing I can think of that it's benefited from is we wouldn't have the Renaissance art. That's the only thing that's like so famous today. That's the only thing I can really think of. Everything else, like for example, I just don't see how what difference it made. Like for example, I said the Renaissance. That's all. A large majority of that is based, I'd probably say 99% of it. That might be wrong. That might be very wrong. Don't take me up on that. But is, like for example, the Last Supper painting. Not photo. Painting. But anyways, I don't see how that's, like, besides all that in general, the Renaissance paintings, I don't see how it really benefited from, like, anything. I just, like, personally, I don't see, like, anything that's brought us. Like, sure, you have people like, I don't remember the guy's name, which is really bad. He invented what's the scanner called? God dang it, I don't remember. MRI scanner, yes, but he's a young Earth creationist. But, like, my point is, what does that make the difference? Like, yeah, he invented an MRI scanner that's helped save lives like crazy, but what does his personal beliefs, like, how did that have anything to do with what he, like, his skills of, like, invention and stuff like that? Like, he invented that. Like, well, I don't see, like, how his personal, like, faith had anything to do with that, is my point.
Well, I have a good answer to that. When you go to get a job, what employers really look for is a Christian, because, well, we don't really do things for the employer or to make money. We do things to do it for God or Jesus. So, like, my pastor, he just recently got a job at this factory place or whatever. And when he signed up for it, his employer asked about his personal beliefs. He said he was a pastor, and he's like, oh, well, that's hard work right there.
Well, that's just because the employer just happened to be, Christian. That doesn't mean, like, that doesn't happen in every case. You go try and get a job. You go try and get a job, say out in, like, say California, for example, and you try to get a job at, say, a Walmart. You're gonna put in your application, I'm a Christian. They're not gonna, like, hire you based on that.
Well, no, I'm just using an example from here.
Well, yeah, I understand what you mean.
But about the first part of how I don't see anything that religion has really affected besides the Renaissance. Well, look at, like, you knew who Erasmus was?
No.
You know who Erasmus was?
Can't hear you exactly.
Hold on. Erasmus.
Erasmus? What's that?
Yeah. He was a Christian humanitarian.
Okay.
No, I'm not familiar with
He
him.
questioned a lot of the. I learned about him in AP, but he questioned a lot of things that were in the Catholic Church. But he was a Christian, and he inspired Martin Luther to do his whole Reformation thing.
The 95 Theses.
Yeah. He inspired different thoughts, different pop culture, what else? Paintings. And since that inspired Martin Luther, it inspired a whole big thing of thought.
Okay.
Well,
I've got a question for both sides. We'll have Dylan and
hold up,
Glenn
Michael.
answer first.
Hey.
Yeah, hold up, Michael. We're doing this. We're doing this thing.
Okay.
You can stick around. Just
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a question for both sides. Clint, Dylan, I'll have you guys go first. When did you all start to? When did you all become atheists, and why? And then the question for Travis would be, when did you become a Christian, and why? So
Clint, you want to
Dylan
go
and
first?
Clint first.
Or you want me
Oh,
to?
boy.
I don't care.
No, it's just a long story.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Sum it up a little bit.
Well, okay. With me, I think I'm not too sure what my family even believes. I think they're Catholics.
Don't even know.
Yeah, because I think they have like a picture of the Pope, and that's the only thing I can remember. So anyway, so when I grew up, all until like high school, it was more of a cultural thing. My parents didn't go to church because the only reason they gave me was because they didn't like any churches nearby, and so it was just I never really. I knew God as a concept. I never really prayed at all, almost. So the reason why I was never really devout was because my parents weren't devout, although my grandparents were. It wasn't until college that I really did call myself an atheist, because that's when I discovered the internet. I never had internet when I was growing up. And one of the things I like to look on was the educational videos or the science videos. And some of them I like to watch were the debunk series, because what happened to me about this time in high school or senior, I actually fell victim to the, what's it called? The ancient alien theory.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And when I discovered, like, holy crap, I had like a really bad belief and unjustified belief at all, I really want to make sure I don't fall victim to that. So I started questioning a lot of stuff. And one of the things, so one of the things I started to do was looking into like questionable conspiracies, you can say, or like beliefs that are unsubstantiable. And one of those beliefs were young Earth creationism. And that's what I've been doing. When I was in college, I've been researching a lot of young Earth creationism and testing their claims. And I guess alongside of testing young Earth creationism, it also made me question my own beliefs of God. And through many logical arguments and scientific arguments and even moral arguments, that's when I started calling myself an atheist, because I just don't see no evidence or justified beliefs in believing in God.
Okay, now on to Dylan.
I was born into the Christian family my whole life, since birth, of course, and I grew up that way, and basically we was not crazy about it like CJ may think, but maybe to some people we was, maybe to some people we wasn't. I don't really know. And I know I was really strong about it back in 8th through 10th grade. And, well, I never really, what they believed was, they believed that all churches, Catholic and Protestant, was man-made churches, and the Church of Christ, as in Romans 16:16, was the first church created by Christ, and they was the only church going to heaven because all the others practiced a different form of worship, taught a different form of salvation, which was based off faith only and not baptism, and stuff like that. And I was really like interested in that, and and from I think. I don't really know. What was it? Maybe, I think, yeah, around June, sort of toned it down a bit, and, just, sort of changed around, I think June 16th, maybe, I think is what it was, and, I just watched a lot of videos about it, concerning it, and actually listening to what they had to say, and I was really strong in it. Like, I still am, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, not like, for example, TJ on YouTube, and Seth Andrews. I listened to them a lot, and I was really big into that, and after June, and that, if that's enough to basically, I always like to use this analogy. If that was enough to change my mind, basically, that ought to tell you something. Because CJ, I can't really use this argument against Travis, and what's his name, James.
Yeah.
Because you don't know me, but CJ did, and Charles. If that's enough to, you've seen me change drastically since June, right?
Yeah.
If that's enough to do that, which you I don't know what the term for this is, because it's a biased example, basically, and it's not really, this is a horrible example for me to give, but it's the only thing I can think of right now. So if you guys ever just want to ask CJ or Charles, you could back me up on this, after I'm done talking. That was again, it's like what Clint said. I just don't see any form of evidence, because when you have there's a big difference between making more sense and being right, and when you have, I like the term, when you have, a lot of people use it, I'm not claiming I made it up. When you have extraordinary claims, you have to have extraordinary evidence, basically, to back it up. And, say, for example, if I told you I used this the other day, if I went to Walmart and I seen Elvis and he was juggling, you'd be smart to not believe me at first. It would be my position, my job to prove to you I did it. It would not be your job to prove that it didn't happen, which is basically how the same way works with this topic, and that's just to sum it up. Long story short, I've actually read the books about it. I've don't see any evidence to support it, and I've listened to the actual scientists, and you know how it doesn't. I'm not convinced. Is my point, and that's about it. And it happened over about a 6-month period of time, which is very short for most people, and that most people will argue that can't happen, but that's what happened with me. Anyways, I'm done. I didn't mean to take so long.
No, that's fine. Travis, why are you a Christian?
Oh, for me, I actually grew up in a Christian home, and before you start saying, "Oh, that's why he's a Christian," not necessarily. My family wasn't really devout at the time. I grew up with my cousins, my grandma, and my mom. She was single at the time too, so I didn't really. I went to church, but I wasn't really into it. But I asked my mom what it was like to be a Christian, and she told me about baptism, faith, all that stuff. So when I was 7, I got baptized. I still didn't understand it. So, as time went on, I started learning about science, started cussing, being a bad person, and when I was 14, I downloaded iFunny. I got into the Christian community, and I still thought that I was a Christian. But I found, y'all know that atheist account called Infidels, right?
Say it again.
Oh yeah, I know. He's like a ex-Muslim.
No, Infidels on my iPhone.
Oh,
No.
sorry. No, I don't. No.
What's his name?
Infidels. Infidels.
I'll look him up. Go ahead.
Well, he's a really big atheist account, but I started debating with him about evolution, and it kind of made me, I guess you can say, question my beliefs about God too. So I started digging into the internet. I started looking up Kent Ham. Probably not a good idea too, but started looking at William Lane Craig, different Christian apologists, and even atheists. And it was around 2015 when I finally made my conclusion that, hey, God does exist. And it was August 5th, 2015, I finally became a Christian. It was a very big day for me because I, one, knew that God existed, and two, I was finally a Christian. But, yeah, that's really it. And I do kind of differ from you, Clint, because when you found the internet, you became an atheist, but I became a Christian. Who'd you look up?
Alright. Well,
I'd like to make a response real quick.
okay.
Okay. I'm not gonna try and convince you, is my point. You obviously, you're an independent person, you do what you want. However, I will say this. Now, you said the other day when we chatted how you see how evolution and creationism can go together. Well, and how I explained to you how I see they can't. Well, we talked about it, and what else happened? Oh, all I can say to you is this. Just actually get some books on it, like, for example, like actual biology books. Just get some of those, like, written by actual scientists, and then read those, get to understand it, and then see what you think afterwards. Because you shouldn't be worried whether he's going to punish you for questioning it, because that's punishing you for using the brain he gave you. So,
okay, hold on.
the thing is, no, I know I kind of didn't make sense there. Here's what I mean. People don't want to do that. They don't want to. They don't want to They don't want to like research about it because they're scared that if they question it, that you know what I mean.
That's just kind of a prejudice that we don't think.
I'm sorry.
I think that's kind of a prejudice that we don't think. I question a lot about my beliefs and.
Well, I know there's a lot. I know there's a lot of people that will like say that that's okay, but then there's a whole lot of others that say it's not too.
Well, I'm an intellectually honest person.
Well, that's okay.
I kind of see what you're talking about. When I was a lot younger, when I was in the church, I see what you're talking about when they say don't think. Because when I was younger, my priest basically told me, never question the Bible, never do it. If you ever question the Bible, if you ever question the validity of it, then you will go to hell. I kind of see what you're coming from there, in the perspective that some Christians or Protestants, whatever, are scared to go and look it up and look at different opinions. I kind of see what you're saying there.
Well, the reason why, I'm against that is because, let me start over, my bad. a lot of churches are like that because, well, I think for two reasons. Number one, they themselves don't even have all the answers, and that's why apologetics is important in itself. So they can, hey, this they can say, hey, question your beliefs, see if this stuff is correct, make your own choice, because that's ultimately what it's up to. And this other part is, intellectual dishonesty, in some cases at least. Yeah.
Well, anyways, hey, what we was gonna do before we ended this is, okay, you're done reading the questions off iFunny, right?
Yes.
Alright, what we do now is, as we approach, the end of it, each side asks them a question. And, I don't know, maybe one person from each side can go, or individually, if they want. It doesn't matter. Where's my phone? I had it on my phone. Anyways, if you guys have like a question to end the thing with, like the main concern you have to end the discussion with from your general side and like your whole side decides on, like or just individually what you want to end the discussion with, like what you would like to ask as a final question. Go ahead.
But is this like rhetoric, or are we actually answer?
No, we'll actually answer. I mean, me or Clint can decide. It doesn't matter.
Okay, you guys go first.
Okay, I had one actually ready to ask. This is a question. That was asked during a debate itself, and it's the same question the guy asked the preacher. It's the same question that led his own daughter to become an atheist, and it says, "Okay,
I know this one.
All right, you probably know it then. All right, if God was absolutely moral because of morality,
Is this? Am I?
Yep, you're cutting out. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and ask this. Alright, if God was absolutely moral, because morality was absolute, and the nature of right and wrong surpassed space, time, and existence, and if it was as much a fundamental property of reality as math, for example, then why would some things, like sin in the Old Testament, but not sin in the New Testament? They would not. Why would they, like, if morality is absolute and is a fundamental property like math to reality, why would, say, certain sin like eating pork in the Old Testament then be acceptable in the New? Because he can't. Go ahead.
Well, you have to understand why a lot of those things were sins in the Old Testament, like eating pork. The reason for that was
just an example.
It was deemed up. Well, I know, but the reason for that was because it was an unclean food, and the reason why they weren't allowed to eat unclean foods was to keep the bloodline to Christ clean, or to keep the place in which Christ was born clean. And what else? What's another good example? Little mixed fabrics. Priests weren't allowed to go into the praying areas or like the sacrifice areas because mixed fabrics were, like I said, deemed unclean or unholy. So they had to wear a pure cotton or something that was pure.
Well, so that's considered like right. What would have been right or wrong back then? That would have been considered wrong in the Old Testament to do that. So,
like, it's culture in a way.
Okay.
Okay, if I add on?
Yeah, go ahead, Clint.
Why would God care for little things like that? If eating pork was, keep the bloodline of Christ clean, why does it matter so much to him? And the same thing with the fabrics. Why would God care so much about what priests wear during the holy sites?
Well, because these fabrics were not holy. God says that to go after, to seek His face, I think in Old Testament times, you had to clean yourself and make yourself worthy unto God before you actually talk to God. Because at the time, only the priests were able to do that.
Yeah, I get what Clint's asking. Hold on, let me see this. I just want to make sure of this. No, not how big is the obesity problem. How big is the observable universe? I looked up how big is the observable universe, and it said how big is the obesity problem. All right, it says 46 billion light years. All right, so
yeah,
and that's just the observable. Okay, so let's just I don't know. Hey, Clint, do you know how many miles are in a light year?
Like 300, like 300,000 or 300 million. I think 300 actually.
Let me look that up just to be sure.
I think it's in the billions or trillions.
Okay, yeah.
What is it?
Well, it's sort of like it's what you said, Charles.
Well, what is it? What's the exact number?
Well, gosh dang it, I had to look it up again.
6 trillion miles.
Okay, yeah, he had it. All right. I don't know what you said, Charles. To be honest, I was lying. I don't know what you said. I didn't listen. That's my fault. Anyways, my point is, okay, so you have 6 trillion miles, just one light year, and then you have 48 billion light years in the observable universe, and then you have this one insignificant little rock.
Hello.
Howdy ho.
Howdy ho, Brina.
Wham bam.
Do you think he was trying to ask about aliens?
No, I think he was asking about significant.
I'm sorry. I cut out. I was asking, basically, why, out of that large of scale of space, and why you have this one little bitty rock with just this one species in this one insignificant area of land, say the Middle East. Why would he care? Like basically what Clint was saying on a larger scale.
Why not?
Because he has more important things to do.
Well, yeah, there's a ton of stuff in the universe that's going on.
We don't know what's out beyond our little neighborhood in the galaxy.
Okay, it's okay if I can answer this. If let's say we had 2 priests, one with mixed fabric and one with unmixed fabric, and they both generally want to get closer to God, why would God care more about the priest with the mixed fabric if they both had the sincere faith, or not faith, but they want to reach out to Him the same way? Why would God care more with the man who has the unmixed fabric?
It's about making yourself acceptable unto God. It's not about.
But they're both wanting to be acceptable for God. They both have that feeling.
I know, but how the rituals were done back then, it wasn't really determined on Scripture. It was about how holy you could be unto God. It was like.
I still don't see that as like a reason with, God's an important guy. I mean, he created everything. He's got more important things to worry about in this whole observable universe than some guy over in the cave over there ate a piece of pork. That's just an example. But, get what I mean.
That's not a good example, but...
yeah, I think of it as, but I mean, if you don't think, that's fine.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of God with the mixed fabric and everything, we're talking about an omnipotent being that created everything. Yet the Bible makes him out to seem so, well, for better lack of terms, petty. He's a stickler for so like you'd think a being that is capable of creating a world, of making life, of sparking humanity, wouldn't be so human, in essence. Because God, the way we interpret God is a very human person, like someone who has likes and dislikes and looks down upon his people in a mannerism that is more human than supernatural or supreme. I just want your take on that.
Can you give me Can you give me an instance where he's petty?
Like, for example, he kills in Exodus, he kills the Pharaoh's all the Egyptian firstborn children. Does not seem a bit juvenile to do, like wrathful? Or another example, when he floods the earth because no one's doing what he says. If he gave us free will, does that not seem a bit excessive or dictative over his people? It seems like he's less.
I'm sorry, I'm back.
It seems like he's less of a supernatural supreme being and more of a angry kid lobbing stuff at his people.
Yeah.
Listening.
There was a Ricky Gervais thing, and he was doing doing one of his shows in America, and he read the book of Noah. He read about Noah's Ark. It was the kids' version, of course. And whenever he talked about flooding the earth for everybody being evil and naughty or whatever, he said he sounds like a little kid having a temper tantrum.
Well, I mean, what did the squid do?
Yeah, exactly.
What did he do? Oh wait, let me try and say it like he said it. What did the squid do? I gotta edit it.
Please.
Anyways,
try to overload me with questions.
Huh?
Please try trying to overload me with questions.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought everybody was just trying. Everybody individually was trying to ask a question. I didn't mean to overload you. I apologize.
No. Well, you guys keep on interrupting each other. Says, about the British guy, what he has. I really don't mean to sound rude when I say this, but stop thinking like a human. Think about that for a sec.
I didn't hear you.
Stop thinking like a human.
But could I honestly think like anything else?
What does that really mean?
Well, I'll explain that to you. When I say that, I mean stop thinking about how we would act. Think about how God, who's omnipotent, all-knowing, and all-good, would act. And you gotta look into the story of what was actually happening in Exodus. You said something about free will, but yeah, we do have free will, and it was the Pharaoh's free will not to let the Israelites go. And God does go to some extremes to break the problems of different evils.
Okay. Quite sorry, I don't want to take up too much time here. One more question. He loves to interact back then, whenever the Bible took place. He loved to interfere with human interaction. It seems like whenever humans did something bad, he was there to stop it, or whenever bad things happened to his people. But when did that stop, really? Because it seems like at a certain point in history, like the Crusades, Inquisition, all these bad things were happening, and he kind of just like, okay, I don't want to deal with this anymore. It just kind of seems like that. If he helped his people back then, what was the turning point that made him say, okay, I'm not going to interfere anymore?
I'm actually not really so sure.
It's called knowledge. That's what happened.
It's a really good question, but I think I'll try to do the best I can to answer it because I'm not really so sure. But
Hello?
the Old Testament really is. It's really just like God preserving the bloodline of Christ, doing all these different things to keep his people safe, keep things in line, all that type of stuff. The New Testament is about redemption, Christ coming back, on Christ coming the first time, all that different stuff. I'm not so sure. I have to look into that, but that's a really good question. If you give me your case later on, I'll try to get back with you on that.
Okay. I'm sorry for sounding kind of condescending. It's mostly the accent, to be honest.
Oh, it's all right.
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's me. James.
Yeah, you had technical difficulties.
Yeah, I was looking for a mic. And long story short, didn't really work out.
Well, we're just about through here. So do you wanna throw in a few questions?
Sure. Where exactly did you guys leave off?
Michael was talking.
Yes. My question was basically, at what point did because there's a lot of talk of God interacting with people in the Old Testament. He was constantly laying his hands on the world, but then it just seems like as soon as it became inconvenient, he just stopped. He just stopped interacting with mankind. And I was asking, at what point did he stop interacting with mankind?
Well, let's see. That's a very good question. I think if you're going to be honest with the Christian message, he hasn't. The idea is God hasn't stopped communicating with human beings since the beginning. He hasn't stopped. There is no tongue. Now the question might take another form. At what point did God stop doing miracles, like say splitting the Red Sea, or miracles like that? Noah's Ark, things like that. That's a more direct question. But if you're asking why God doesn't do miracles, that's essentially what I'm getting from the question. I would disagree. I think he does do miracles. I think you can have spiritual miracles, like changing lives of people personally, like Travis said earlier in his testimony. Things like that. I think that's one of the biggest miracles. And then I think one of the biggest miracles itself, the creation of the universe. If that's possible, if God created the universe, then raising people from the dead, splitting seas, things like that, that's a piece of cake.
I've got something to add on to that about the whole miracles thing. There was a friend of mine who was tragically killed in a car accident this past October, and she went to the hospital, was completely brain dead, and she died because she was brain dead. And they said, "Oh, we're gonna pray for her, and she's gonna be fine." Why didn't God step in there?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I honestly can't answer that
because she had given her life to Christ.
Right.
She had followed, all of his rules and regulations that he has in place. Why wasn't she saved?
I think there's a good question behind that. One, I can't because I'm a human with limited cognitive faculties, right? I can't answer the question of why every single instance of evil or bad misfortune happens to people. I think that there is one underlying assumption that's behind your question, though, because you're assuming that, and which I would agree with you. I'm not denying this, but you're assuming that when someone dies, it's an evil thing, and I would agree with you that this was a bad, evil thing. But on atheism, things like that, you've probably heard this time and time again. But it might be seen cliche, but it's actually very true that there really is no justification to see why the death of your friend or the death of anybody really was bad. I mean, it could be bad in our eyes, right? Personally, subjectively, but on a mass, grand scale, where the universe is indifferent to us and we're in a cold, vast universe that doesn't care who we are or what we do, then I really think that you can't really call that. So I think your friend's death can only be made sense to be called evil if and only if a God exists and that he declares things like that to be not right, not true. Now, I can't answer why God allowed your friend to die. I mean, all I can say is that I believe and trust he has morally sufficient reasons for allowing it. I mean, the whole, I think I remember hearing earlier about if God is all good, all knowing, all loving, all that, all powerful, why does he allow these things? The short answer is he has morally sufficient reasons for allowing it. He has, that's the really gist of it. I mean, I can't explain what those reasons are, but there's good evidence to believe that he has those reasons. And unless somebody can find a defeater to that, I mean, I don't know how you would be able to show that, but yeah, that's my response to it.
Show what? Show what, James?
Sorry, what?
Show what?
If someone has a good way to show it.
No, if you could show that the idea that God has morally sufficient reasons for allowing evil, could you find a way to disprove that? In other words,
unnecessary evil will probably be the easiest way to do it.
I just see that.
Right, but then that assumes that you would have a full picture of what is necessary and not necessary, right?
This is what I've convinced me on this. This is what my philosophy teacher convinced me on this reason. Imagine a forest fire happened. He likes to use the example of Bambi. Imagine a forest fire happened, and Bambi was a victim of this. Now, Bambi wasn't dead when this forest fire happened. Bambi was trapped underneath a log, burnt, and suffering for 4 days. Now, would it be less evil for Bambi to die instantly, or go on to suffer and then finally die on the fifth or fourth day? That's called unnecessary evil.
Right.
Having a being suffer unnecessarily if both the angles are going to meet. In both cases, Bambi died, but why would it deem not as more evil for that soul to suffer, or for that being to suffer?
I can actually do one. I'm sorry, really quick. I can actually do you one better. I have an actual example. When I was in the military, a friend of mine, he accidentally stepped on an IED. He lost his leg, half his torso. He lost his arm, and he was in extreme pain for actually 10 days before he finally passed.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it was a while ago, so I didn't have time to get over it at least, but thank you.
Yeah.
It made me question, what caring God could possibly allow his creation to go through such an agonizing final days? Sorry, tearing up here. Because I actually got to visit him when 2 days before he passed, and he was all bandaged up and everything, and he was praying. And he looked at me and he said, "You know, why can't God just please kill me already because of the pain?"
No,
I guess that's the question he was asking.
Hey,
isn't that unnecessary? Isn't that evil itself to have someone suffer through such a magnitude of pain for that long?
Sorry, did you want to?
You go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, again, I want to reiterate. I can't say why an all-knowing being would have allowed that to happen because, well, I'm not that all-knowing being. What I can say is that from our point of view, having limited cognitive faculties, right, we can only go so far, and we can only comprehend so much as fallible human beings. I think, but from the standpoint of an all-knowing, all-just, all-good God, I think he could have morally sufficient reasons. I do not know. I do not pretend to know why these specific things happen. One thing I also like to add was, obviously, it wasn't God who placed the IED there. Obviously, it was an enemy combatant that did that.
But technically, it was someone following the will of their God, but hey.
Right. But that's not what we believe.
But God, but he could have if he could have had it killed him instantly, and he wouldn't have had to go through 10 days of pain.
Right.
Violates our free will.
Right. There's a free will issue going on there. That God would, in order to violate free will, God would have to do the logically impossible, which he can't do, right? Because then there would be violating himself.
Wait,
so.
if I can interject for a sec.
Yeah.
I love how, and I really like, and hold on, the ways that guys would like for God to intervene would ultimately diminish our free will. And without free will,
I'm pretty sure he wanted to die, to be honest.
well, yeah, I figured, I know, but that violates free will, and that violates our autonomy. The ways that guys are asking God to intervene, it violates everything that you guys want him, don't want him to intervene. Like, it's hard to explain. It's a contradiction that you guys have.
I get what you mean. We have free will, and if he did that, it would diminish it.
I think your friend went to a better place. I think one free from any one infinitely better than if he had kept his entire body.
That's the one thing you don't want to say.
I guess if this diminishes his title as all good, he's only to the limit of what allows us to attack free will.
No, I think here's my idea. I think he could.
You mean all powerful, Clint?
No,
right.
all good. He cannot do all good things if he can't diminish our free will. He's only to the limit of our own free will.
But he had no problem going against people's free will not so long ago, apparently.
Well, hey, I want to make a response to two responses. One, to you guys, but I'll wait and go ahead and make a response to Michael here. Now, Michael, I'm sorry to hear that about your friend. I lost a grandpa.
Yes.
I lost a grandpa about 2 years ago, and it's the worst thing that can happen. But here's the only two options here of why that happened. You either have an option where it's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing, and it's just another part of the natural world. And we're biological creatures, and that's just how life works.
Yes, we're not invisible. We all have to die some way.
Or here's the other reason. The reason it happened is because an individual ate an apple. That's the reason. Now, a response to what he said. I understand. I knew right away what James and Travis was going to say, like as a response, because I understand where they was coming from. They said, free will. Well, let me ask this, and you've probably been asked this before, and you're probably prepared for it, but I'm going to go ahead, because I'm curious about it, because this is probably one of the most overly used arguments ever. If he knows what you're going to do ahead of time, because, before you're even born, he knows where you're going to end up, how is it free will?
Wait.
If he knows, if he knows whether you're going to be in hell or heaven, how is that, before you're even born, how does that free will? Because, you can't, if you have the option yourself to choose whether you go to one place or the other, but he already knows where you're going to do it, that's not free will.
Yes, it is.
Well, here, explain it to me then.
Yeah. Well, God, he is all-knowing, but he knows all the possible outcomes of what's going to happen. We have free will, and say God, in this possible outcome, someone's going to get saved, and this person ends up becoming atheist. God already knew what was going to happen in that possibility. So, it's like, have you heard of Mormonism?
No.
Mormonism?
No, Mormonism.
No, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it's a really, talks a lot about this, about free will and God's knowledge, His foreknowledge. look it up. It's Alvin Planting, different authors like that. He can explain it way better than I can.
Yeah, I'd like to touch up on that too. Travis is right. There's different views, obviously, within Christianity on this subject. Calvinists think that God has declared everything from the beginning. They actually probably believe close to what you said about how if God knows something,
it's a select few of people. It's a select amount.
Right. And then there are Armenians who believe we have free will, and then there's Molinists that believe that it's free will, and it's a very long way of explaining it. But basically, my take on it and how I understand it is an analogy between a thermostat and a thermometer. A thermometer, what does it do? It tells you the temperature, right? It tells you the temperature. If it's 50 degrees on a thermometer, then it just is a signifier of what the temperature is on the outside. On the other hand, a thermostat actually determines the temperature of its environment. So whenever you move the dial to 50 degrees, it'll affect the rest of the environment. The idea is that God is like a thermometer in that he knows his knowledge of the outside world of our actions are determined by our actions. So just like the thermometer knows, quote unquote, knows the temperature, because the temperature affects the mercury within the thermometer, so our choices affect God's knowledge. So God, just because God knows what we'll do before we do it, doesn't necessarily mean that He caused us to do it. Do you understand? It's more of like a thermometer than a thermostat.
Yeah, that's something that's something when you think about it, you could just sit there for hours and think about. I've done it before.
Right. Yeah.
It's a really deep philosophical question.
I have one more question. I just got a text from my friend. I have to go get ready to go to the pub.
That's fine.
Sorry. One more question. And then I'll be out of your hair. You don't have to hear from me then. Okay. So the way you see it, then, tell me if I'm wrong, is that life for us, in a way, God looks down. It's kind of like it's kind of like a multiple choice video game. Like you can go down several paths, and on these paths, I guess like checkpoints, you have options to go down a different path. Is that what you're saying?
No, I would say it's more like AI who are sentient and who can make free choices within the game. So say I'm God, I'm the player, and I can make possible different scenarios or different worlds. And within each possible scenario or world, these AI, these NPCs, whatever you want to call them, that are sentient, they can make free choices. They make free choices, in other words. So I as God, as the player with my infinite knowledge of the game, and with the idea of what each character or in the game is going to do, can therefore make a choice as to which game I choose to play. In other words, so the idea is that God, there's an infinite amount of possibilities of possible worlds where different things happen, but God chose this one to create and actualize. And we, as free creatures, the term I hear is co-actualize. So, in other words, we help bring to actualization, to reality, the world that we do with our free choices. In other words, it's a very, very complex thing. I think you'd have to hold a whole nother debate or discussion just on this topic alone. But that's my take on it.
I have a question. I mean, you can go ahead and leave if you want, Michael. I have a question.
It was nice meeting you guys too.
Tell me when you're doing another one of these debates, and I'll be there for it.
Well, this was just a discussion. It wasn't really a debate. This wasn't formal or anything.
Okay, well, give me a.
We gotta do this again.
Yeah, we haven't even set the date yet.
Okay, talk to you, mate.
Nice to meet you, Michael.
Nice to meet you too. Bye.
I think I might have another example of this. Do you mind if I?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Imagine you're the best weatherman in the history of the world. You're an infallible weatherman. You know it'll rain tomorrow. Does that mean you caused it to rain? Absolutely not. It didn't have to rain either. It could have snowed. In that case, you'd have foreseen snow. But again, you didn't cause the snow. You just knew about it. In both cases, your foreknowledge of the weather doesn't determine it. God is like the infallible weatherman. He knew Judas would betray him. Ultimately, it was Judas' free will to do so.
What? It's okay if I modify that example.
Go ahead.
Okay. The problem with your example is he's infallible. I'm guessing you're claiming that God is not infallible. For this example,
I was reading it from a post.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and modify it anyway. Let's say that it's a famous example. A train is on a track, right? And it can split off into two different tracks.
Oh, I've heard this before.
Yeah, on one track there's one person. On the next track there's no people, or 5 people. Let's say that there's 5 people on one track and no one on the other track. Now, God, and there's a conductor, right? And God can intervene and switch it to the track with no people, but he has the power. He has the ability to do so. It's he can foresee these events happening, and if he doesn't take an action, then he's responsible for whatever happens from it. He could save the 5 people, or he could he could save the 5 people or let them die. If they let him die, it's the responsibility's on him because he had the action to do it. He has the ability to take that action. That's like there's actual crimes. There's actual laws for that in some states, I think, where you have the ability to take action against it. Then you let it happen. Then it's your fault. I think that's one of them's child abuse laws, actually, like leaving a kid in a car. I don't see any justification around that.
I think I would, to respond to that, would say, again, to go back to, I think it was Michael, right? The European man, example of his friend, and my response to that would probably be the same to this one, that God could, again, have a morally sufficient reason for allowing someone like this situation to actually occur. And again, I can't say what that reason would be, but as long as it's possible that he has a reason for this, I see no defeat for that.
I guess you're I hate to say it this way, but I think you're assuming there must be a sufficient reason, and when there's no good reason to believe there is.
Right, but again, I'd go back to the point where, from our human's perspective, there's no way to guarantee that idea. We have limited perception of how our view of one event and how it ripples throughout time and history is very limited. We only have, 70, 80 years? I mean, after we're dead, a bad event could have a good outcome, It's sort of like that whole butterfly effect idea, that one little thing can come out to a good outcome, even if it is an evil event.
Okay.
But there's just no way to verify something. I can say that Holocaust was evil in and of itself, right? Which I believe it is. But it may have led to good things, say like the creation of the state of Israel, right? Which also led to good things. So I can say these bad things happened. They were bad in and of themselves. They shouldn't have happened. But they also led to good things later on down the road. So God may have had morally sufficient reasons for allowing all these things to happen. As long as that's possible, I see no reason to attack it.
Well, hey, Clint, Charles, or CJ, one of you three. We're gonna have to. We've hit. It's getting it's getting past the time I wanted to stop the discussion. Does any three of you, well, not CJ, you're the moderator. Does either Charles or Clint want to make a final statement before I tell everybody what the plan is for the actual official formal debate? Nope. Okay. Anyways, Charles, aka Dat Boy, he will be the moderator for the official formal debate, which we will have not yet set a debate. We will tell you guys when that debate is set. This was just a general discussion. I'm going to give you the topics for the debate. It's going to be split up into two topics, basically. It's evidence for evolution and evidence of God. One of those that's like for you guys and us. And you have all the time in the world to prepare for it. And once everybody's like got what they need ready and prepared, then we'll all agree on a time to do it. And does that sound okay to you guys?
Yeah, I think
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
I was gonna.
Would it be okay? We'll actually have like actual opening statements. We'll be covering two topics, and then at the end of those, after we're done covering those two topics, we'll have another iFunny Q&A, and then we'll end it. And anyways, but yeah, I think that's it. I appreciate you guys coming on, but
yeah,
go ahead.
This is very interesting.
How many people on each side?
Are you guys going to try and get a third person? Because if you don't want a third person, I'm gonna tell you something. Milkman Mobile, the guy who come in, he's not on our side. He just came in and gave an opinion. He wasn't officially on our side. Sorry if you guys like felt outnumbered or anything.
Oh no, not at all. It's fine.
Okay. Well, anyways, we're gonna try and have 3 people, but if you guys can't get a third person, we'll just have 2, like this thing.
I know someone who can do it for us. My YouTube partner.
Well, yeah, we'll get whoever you guys want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you guys if you somehow can't, we'll just do 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So so you would just give us the information of when the next one is scheduled, right?
Yeah, we'll tell you a few days ahead of time.
Okay, cool.
Probably like 2 days ahead of time. But anyways.
Ooh, this is really good. I like this.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess you guys can like hang around if you want. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to get off here, but you guys can like stay and talk if you want to Clint and CJ. But anyways, I'm gonna get off here. See you guys.
All right, nice to meet you. Zations, right?
It's nice to meet you guys too.
Dylan.
Yeah.
It was nice talking to all of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will.
Yep. What is it, Clint?
See you guys, I guess, the next time we're all on Skype together. Dylan, Clint,
right.
I guess I'll talk to you all tomorrow. It was nice meeting every single one of you.
Nice meeting you, man.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right. See you later. Bye.
See ya.
God bless.
No. What'd you say, Clint?
Oh, I think I said Dylan because they said Zations. I was like telling you your name.
Oh yeah. All right. See you guys.